Hello, and welcome to the Customer Experience webinar by bpm'online and AmberLeaf. I am Andy Brill with bpm'online, and I'm joined today by Andy Sutherland. Our presenters will be Andy Sutherland of bpm'online and John Kariotis of AmberLeaf Partners. We're excited to join you today with this webinar. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available to you within a few days. And also would like to request that if you have any questions, please enter them into the GoToWebinar panel, or you could ask them towards the end of the presentation. We'll be taking Q&A at that time as well. Without any further ado, why don't we get started with today's webinar. First, what I'd like to do is just cover the meeting agenda. Today, what we're going to be covering will be defining customer experience for you. So we're all starting on a level playing field and have a good understanding of what we're referring to when we're talking about customer experience. We'll talk about the different challenges related to omnichannel. We'll be discussing a case study for customer experience, and then we'll have a Q&A session towards the end of the presentation. So we're excited to have you join us for today's customer experience webinar. And what I'm going to do is now turn it over to Andy Sutherland of bpm'online.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here. So Andy Sutherland here. I'm an Enterprise Solutions Manager at bpm'online. And so I was going to start off a little bit just giving some more background on bpm'online before we bring John into our conversation. As many of you may already know, bpm'online has been around for 10 plus years. We've got offices in Boston, Kiev, London, Melbourne, obviously global organization with offices around the world, trying to make a lot more inroads these days into the North American markets, hence part of the conversation today. We have a large customer base of over 7,000 customers today. Here's just an example of a few that are out there. And we continue to have growing analyst recognition in a number of quadrants related to sales, marketing, service, and business process management. So part of our vision is that overall, the world is accelerating at a rapid pace. From now until 2020, the amount of information out there on the internet and everywhere in organizations is expected to double every 2 years. Pedestrians are actually walking faster now than just a decade ago. And in the time it took the airlines to reach nearly 50 million users, it only took 19 days for Pokemon Go to reach the same. So in the days now of digital transformation, and as some of your more traditional business processes are making the move into digital, it becomes increasingly important to be agile and nimble in those processes, in being able to do it in order to stay on top of your particular vertical of expertise and above the competition. So that, similar to, say, the taxi industry and Uber, there's not new business models coming in and starting to take over as a significant player in that market. Now, as part of that, there's customer experience, and that's what we're here to talk about more today. And really, so what defines part of the optimal customer experience? So the journey to the next level is often defined in the industry as moving customers from a multi-channel to an omni-channel approach. And so what exactly does that mean? In the case of multi-channel, that's your ability to support interactions with your prospects and customers across multiple communication channels. So things like using social media, maybe Facebook, or having brick and mortar retail store, or something like an Amazon marketplace, right? These are means to have multiple routes to market to try to impact your customer base. The challenge today in a lot of those is that information and that information flow doesn't often relate to one another, or you don't have the ability to seamlessly move from one channel to the next. So while it's multi-channel and you can have those multiple routes to market, someone on Facebook that's supporting that conversation may have no idea what's happened on the retail or on the online side of things. But as you move towards omni-channel, this is where, another common phrase gets used a lot, which is the 360-degree customer view, right? This is kind of where the optimal customer experience in omni-channel comes into play, where a chat session may have started with one of your customers who then put their purchase or their interaction on hold to go somewhere else, and then perhaps the next time it's a phone call into our service organization or the sales department. So in omnichannel, it's important to relate all of these customer interactions and make them easily visible to all the agents that you have supporting those multiple channels so that they can take the time to continue a pre-existing conversation and not have to spend time reevaluating and re-engaging with the customer just to get back to square one. So obviously, the ability to support omnichannel communications and the true 360-degree view is where bpm'online and a lot of other folks in the industry think it's going to be important to bring businesses to and to be able to support in order to maximize your routes to market, your revenue stream, and have positive customer experience. So in this line of conversation, what I want to do is not only talk a little bit about how we think bpm'online fits into the customer experience and the journey towards, say, omnichannel communication, but we also wanted to have a conversation with John Kariotis and bring in some of his expertise from AmberLeaf Partners' point of view. So with that, I'd like to ask John to introduce himself and AmberLeaf real quick.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate that, and glad to be here today. Again, my name is John Kariotis, and I run our customer experience practice here at AmberLeaf. AmberLeaf is a consulting organization, and we focus on two primary disciplines. One around the customer experience and customer relationship management, and that is in the way organizations market, the way that they sell, and the way that they service their customers. The other component of our business that we focus on is around data governance and analytics. And what that means is we work significantly with our clients to be able to aggregate data from across their enterprise, help manage the quality and hygiene of that data from a data quality and master data management perspective, and then help gain the insights into the ways that they're able to gain the intelligence based off of the information that we learn from the way that the customers market, sell, and service as well. So glad to be here today and share some of the insights that we're seeing in terms of the clients that we work with. We've been started our firm back in 2004, and since that time, working with organizations, we have deployed over 1,100 CRM and data management initiatives for our clients, and have seen quite a bit of challenges, problems to solve, as well as solutions that many organizations are benefiting from these days. Sandy.
Great. Thanks for the intro, John. Maybe you could share a little bit of your experiences in helping your customers through the omnichannel journey.
Sure. So one of the things that we're seeing is our clients needing to be able to bring all aspects of not only the buying process, the marketing process, the selling process, the service process together across each of the ways that that client will navigate their journey with that said organization. One of the challenges that we're facing, that clients face, is they've gone out and they've identified ways that they can solve problems with pieces of technology. And to so much of the multi-channel discussion examples that you gave, Andy, what we see is that clients will sort of check the box. I've got a marketing application, or I can support a customer in the way that they can chat with me, or I can take a phone call, or I can send an email. I may have a knowledge base, or I've got a sales process I can go through and manage the steps of a sales cycle. All those are good fundamental components that we're seeing that many organizations have accumulated over time, whether that's with an application or different pieces of applications that they go achieve that. The challenges that we're finding customers now facing is what do we do with this information? What do we learn from it? And are we really achieving the objectives that we've set out to do? And what we've noticed is that many clients that have set the objectives as an organization, what the goals of a company may be, and the outcomes that they're looking to achieve around managing a customer experience are often misaligned. And they're misaligned for several different reasons. Number one, they're not identifying those outcomes and how that they are actually contributing to the goal and objective of the organization. They're driving that customer's experience. They're challenged in the way that they measure the results of achieving a different outcome. They may look at metrics or KPIs, for example, on how many clicks do I get on a marketing campaign. Or I want to know, is the marketing campaign generating a certain amount of revenue, which is all great stuff, but is it really driving the goal or the expectation of a positive customer experience that we're looking for? Are they achieving that overall NPS as a result of that? The disconnect between one action within an organization is it may have an adverse effect on another outcome that they're often recognizing there. Another challenge that we're seeing a lot of organizations face is really they're taking the inward focus, or continue to take the inward focus around the setting up or implementing the capabilities around customer experience and CRM solutions. And so how do I drive additional processes in my organization to be more efficient, drive costs out of my business and not necessarily into my business? And what they're often missing is the impact that those decisions have on the customer, and determine the strategy and the policies that we're trying to yield for that specific customer. The intention is often correct in saying I'm trying to provide a better customer experience by giving them a channel of choice to communicate, to buy with me through an online commerce store, or communicate to me through a website self-portal, to provide more information online to self-serve for the things they want to do. Those intentions are all great, but they're often met by misaligned expectations or actions to satisfy those intentions on the way that we navigate that customer experience. And oftentimes that's the case because we're thinking about the customer's point of view, or our point of view, and the impact it's going to have on our business and the policies and procedures, and not necessarily the impact that it's going to have on that overall customer's expectation of us. Another area that we're finding challenges that our clients are struggling with is the way they actually go about implementing the pieces of technology. There are a plethora of different components, features, functions, and software solutions out there today, and oftentimes our clients are getting drowned in it. What is the best solution for them? Depending on the size of an organization, they're making choices in different departments or within a department about what using different marketing applications versus sales or service applications. The way that those applications are implemented are differently or more self-serving to the specific needs of a small user base, as opposed to the aggregate understanding of the way that customer's experience needs to be navigated itself. So when we're looking to manage a solution for our clients, we're recognizing the design of that technology, and more importantly, the data to support that desired outcome is often misaligned as well. And then finally, one of the other challenges that we're really seeing is understanding how the outcomes that they're looking to achieve are analyzed and being monitored. More importantly, what we're seeing is that clients are getting the reports, they're getting the fancy dashboards, pretty graphs, and all that good stuff around it, but what are they doing with the information? How is that information feeding back into driving the actions to satisfy those intentions of a positive customer experience? And so the alignment then becomes the flow of what's in it for me in terms of my business, what's in it for my customer, in terms of my objectives. How am I going to tie that all together with the piece of technology, and how am I learning from my behaviors to be able to shape the way what customers are expecting of us, and then what we're doing in response to those customer expectations themselves.
Interesting. Thanks for that. That's some good challenge examples. I'd actually like to take a minute here to throw a poll out to the audience, just with a couple of potential challenges that we thought might be out there. And I'd be curious to see if any of these are kind of applying or are being applied within your organization, if any of the challenges you can relate to, and maybe it's something that we can try and talk to a little bit. So I'll give you a minute just to fill that out. All right, it looks like at the moment alignment is a bit of a challenge. And I can imagine with trying to get a number of different channels working with one another and through different apps and everything else. So, all right. We're just about to wrap up here. We got about 80% of the vote. All right, well, I appreciate that feedback, everybody. It looks like one of the biggest items and challenges that you seem to be seeing, at least out of the ones that we've provided, are some of the operational alignment due to disconnected apps and disconnected data and multiple channels. So to that end, what I'd like to ask is, John, maybe if you could help to provide us with an example of a scenario that you've helped somebody move through that multi-channel to omni-channel experience. Maybe you could give us a more specific case.
Well, a couple of different ways that we go about that. It's interesting that alignment to technology applications is one of the primary problems that the audience has seen today. I think that that probably bodes well with what we're seeing in the marketplace as well. Again, the alignment in the application is it tends to really stem from the strategies that organizations tend to go out. So the operational alignments are really driven from what are my operational strategies to support those customer experience. When that is not necessarily properly executed, you get different pieces of technology to be able to drive what that's out. And so one of the ways that we go about accomplishing that in an example here would be really to look at the way that we're going to plan what are the changes we're looking to make to our business, and what are the changes our clients are looking to make to the impact that it's going to have on their organizational and operational efficiencies, and what that impact is, and the outcome it's going to achieve for that particular customer's experience. And so what we try to do is work with our clients to be able to say, let's define a program approach that can draw distinct linear linkages between corporate strategy to program objective to operational effectiveness to then the impact it's going to have both on the organization as well as on the customer. So oftentimes we're finding clients just jump right into requirements, feature function, integration, which is all great. And what we find today with cloud-based technologies and CRM capabilities and simplification of a lot of these tools that are available in the marketplace today is that we're just getting to the same bad place faster. So we encourage our clients to be able to stop, pause, and be able to align our program and objectives to the changes it's going to have on the behaviors, both operationally as well as to the customer itself. What we end up doing then is look to be able to break down increments. It's common today that organizations would take either a waterfall methodology of trying to be able to deploy a piece of a software, an integration, a new piece of technology, what have you. Or they may take an agile approach. Companies will look at the agility of getting something off and running in a custom development scenario. We're kind of looking at that, and we're bringing the two and bringing a hybrid of them together. And why that's important is we want to be able to, we don't have to have all the answers right. We want to be directionally correct. Just because we could configure something doesn't necessarily mean we should do something within a cloud-based CRM technology. But what we're looking to do then is break down the incremental components then of the key capabilities that are driving the changes we're looking to do in the business, and by staggering them up. In this example here, what we're looking at is how do we manage the case, or the way that we're actually going to build the processes to establish the foundation to enable how a positive customer experience in that way. And those are the way we're managing our customer accounts, if we're a business organization or a consumer direct organization, how we're managing those contacts itself, and what are those fundamental foundational components to do to enable those customer experiences itself. Well, once we understand who the customer is and how that customer needs to be, how we need to interact with that customer against their specific expectations, we kind of then move into the way that we need to be able to serve or sell to them, right? So what information do we need to provide to them to properly get them the right quoting, the right process of managing how they want to buy from us and how we want to sell to them. And what information, more importantly, is needed to be able to support that from a back office. One of the key challenges that we're often seeing today in the data component of the infrastructure is that key rich information from our back office, whether that's an ERP application, a financial transaction a processing application, our accounting piece of software, HR piece of software, is rich details about customer information about who we'll be able to then support those customers are sitting in those applications. We want to bring that back office forward as well to be able to support that sales and support process in that way. But now we've got to look at ourselves too and saying, okay, great, I've done a good job of understanding who my customer is. I've done a good job then of understanding how to be able to sell and serve that particular customer. What does that mean to me as an employee, right? How am I going to get paid on that, and how is it going to be able to change my behavior from a commission perspective of what I'm gaining? And what are the complications then of the integrations that I would start peeling back and forth in how to be able to drive then back office information into the front office and vice versa? What am I learning from that front office interactions and then driving back into my back office, it's the ERP application or financial transactions? So what do we need to know about that? Then what we try to do with our clients is, once defining those enablement and learn from that from an intelligence perspective, how we can refine then the way that we engage with them through our leads, how we gain new business from them, how we market to them, and then manage that overall sales process itself. We want to learn from that. So what we're doing then is driving them to be able to then piecemeal out, pilot different groups of users in order to be able to assure what our decisions were that we made in the course of this process can then be refined, so we can refine and then learn from our deployments as well. And these initiatives that organizations often face don't necessarily need to take months on end. This can take an incremental set of weeks in order to be able to get new capabilities out into the user base, and as well as into the hands of our customers and their customers and that they're serving in a matter of weeks on end, not necessarily months to years, which they're oftentimes clients are afraid of runaway kind of projects itself. So those are really good ways and steps that we're focusing on and noticing from our clients in the way they handle that.
Interesting. So I think in regards to the interactions between AmberLeaf and bpm'online, how do you feel that bpm'online and our product today is helping you to alleviate some of these customer challenges in moving towards that omni-channel model?
So one of the great things that we have found with bpm'online is specifically around CRM is that many organizations have approached historically, or have over time, adding different features and functions by selecting what they believe to be best of breed applications. I've got a different marketing campaign tool, sales processing tool, customer support capability, analytics application on top of that, so I can understand what I'm doing. More importantly than the way that they're actually trying to facilitate these processes interdepartmental and cross-departmental as well. What we're finding with our clients within bpm'online is rather than breaking apart those different functions and separate different applications, that we're having to complicate the deployment process as well as to complicate the maintenance of that and aggregating the data across several different applications. bpm'online is providing that common foundational platform all in one. where we can then solve our clients' problems with a common framework of a single data set, the way those business processes need to be then developed across department and interdepartmental in the way that the same sales functionality, the same application with the service functionality, the same application with the marketing capabilities, all within a common data platform. And so when we're dealing with our clients, we can go to a single source, truly get that single source of truth, and then execute on that single source of truth through their customer expectation with the same business processes, with the same set of data, within the same set of configuration capabilities deployed across an organization. So that common platform that once was the case years ago, that organizations tend to have been clouded by, if you will, by having multiple different applications, even though they were SaaS-based, cloud-based applications that were providing marketing, sales, and service capabilities, that ended up complicating the matters more so than simplifying them. bpm'online has really brought that all together again, a common consolidated platform with that marketing, sales, and service capability, but adding that really business process framework that our clients are really able to generate those efficient processes with.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that insight, and I think that'll dovetail a little bit right into something that I was going to talk about later, about where we think some of our strengths are as well. So I'm glad to see that we're in alignment there. So thank you for that intro. I'm just going to go through a little bit of AmberLeaf, the approach, and how I think this maps to John and AmberLeaf's approach, and why overall we think it's a good synergy and a good synergistic fit for folks. And then I see that it looks like there are some questions coming through, so we'll take a look and try and address those at the end. But as far as bpm'online goes, right, our belief overall in engaging with customers is that technology implementations should be fast. It should take days, not months or years. You really need to be able to rapidly get usage and adoption of your product as you're implementing it as part of your CRM and customer engagement methodology right away. To that point, rapid user adoption is also critical to success, right? Just because you roll it out and you think everybody's going to use it, if it's not providing valuable insights into their day-to-day interactions, then the chances of them really taking to the tool and using it and getting full value out of it are reduced. Right? For ongoing transformation, you need to be able to quickly access data and transfer that amongst all the various groups of your organization. So I need to quickly be able to share some of my marketing data, lead generation techniques, lead generation information in terms of what channel it's come through, and be able to provide that information both to my sales and service organization to be able to make a really seamless customer journey from that prospect onto an onboarded and servicing customer. And then ultimately, if you can enable these capabilities, then change becomes the new normal, and your business will be able to adapt and rapidly adjust to the refinement and optimization of your internal sales processes very quickly and easily. So as John mentioned, we have what we feel is a rather unique platform where we have our marketing, sales, and service built on top of our intelligent low-code business process management platform. And this is what really differentiates us and helps us to make sure that we can easily share data across groups of the organization. And then as well, because we've got this business process management platform at the core, we can help accelerate further adoption and implementation times by making business apps and particular verticalized business process templates available through our marketplace. And because all of those, again, rest on top of that same platform, we can easily associate and provide data across those various processes and areas of the organization. So with that, let's take a quick minute to take a look at some of the questions, and we'll see if we can.
Yeah, and Andy, I see one of the questions that came in, and this is a question for John Kariotis. there was a question, John, about what are some of the key things to enhance omni-channel customer experiences from your perspective?
Good question. I think one of the key thing that we encouraging clients to be able to do to enhance is to first take a step back and learn. When we're looking at the omni-channel experiences, where are clients recognizing from an data analysis perspective, their customers being able to engage with them in the right channels themselves. And so a great example is we work with a lot of B2B organizations that want to be able to provide online commerce. Well, their own experiences is providing online commerce in their buying habits through Amazon or through through their retail experiences, other retail experiences that they go through. Well, why can't I expect that same experience through the way that I buy my products and services for the companies that I work with as well? So what we're noticing then is saying, well, our clients that are trying to drive then, our B2B clients, how to be able to satisfy that own omnichannel experience across their business organizations as well. Buying online through different devices as I move through that process or through that journey, through the face-to-face interaction I might be having with that corporate sales rep that I'm dealing with. I may start with that face-to-face conversation with the corporate sales rep. I may then look to be able to continue parts ordering or manufacturing processes that I might want to do through my online experiences and get those updates through my own mobile applications that I'm dealing with as well. Synonymous to the same example I may do online to going through my retail experiences. And so those are some of the lessons that we're learning that clients will be able to drive how other industries or experiences that they're providing in their personal lives are driving their business experiences as well.
Okay, thank you very much, John. There was another question that came in. This one's for Andy Sutherland, and it's related to how the competition does not deliver on some of these components versus bpm'online.
So I think overall on that, I mean, clearly if you're a CRM solution, you ought to have pretty good capabilities for sales, marketing, and service. The challenge becomes in some of these competitive platforms out there, they were not all homegrown or home developed. And so there is some specific development effort that's required in order to make sure that I'm taking that data out of one platform and moving it into another section. So it's kind of similar to that best of breed approach where now I've got, even though it might be from the same vendor, right? It's really still completely separate application modules that require more effort to make changes to a business process that spans across multiple pieces of the organization. Whereas with bpm'online, because it's all on that same core base platform, it's really nothing more than an analyst level decision to make an association between a piece of data that's primarily being used in marketing and then associate that with sales. And so that's why, we think that it's easier to make business process changes spanning multiple areas of the organization using bpm'online, because through that low code engine and the fact that it's all on that same platform, we don't have to worry about back-end developer modifications or integration. It can be done at that analyst level.
And there's a follow-up question that's related to the prior question. This one, again, for you, Andy, is discuss the value of having a single platform versus a component approach, or I guess you could even say best of breed approach.
Yeah, and I think very similarly. It's, our philosophy and our thought is that by having all these, the capabilities and the core on that same platform, it just makes it easy to quickly integrate and take data from any area of the organization and make it available to others so that I can see that complete history of, say, customer interaction. So that while, one of my sales reps is talking to a prospect, we can see that while they're a prospect on one particular product area, maybe they've purchased another product from us. I can see if that's under contract, if they've logged any service cases against that, so that I can try to make myself better educated on how to approach this customer or this prospect to try and optimize my outcome.
Thank you, Andy. Another question came in, and this one, John, I'd like to ask this one of you. There is agreement, certainly, that deployment or implementation should take, days or weeks instead of months and years. But how do you handle those expectations around integrations, which obviously can add time to an implementation?
Well, more and more companies, software companies and middleware companies are collaborating that, on the box, if you will, services are provided between, one application A and application B. And what that means is that the concept of an Apple plug and play, download an app and it works, scenario has been transferred into the way that a lot of organizations now are providing, pre-configured integrations between, commonly used types of applications. And so, and that doesn't necessarily get us all the way there. Every application has unique, configurations into it there, but the framework of middleware components are ways that we're accelerating and able to accelerate integrations between one product versus another product as well. So, and that's for a lot of the commonly used products that are available, hundreds of products and available in the marketplace today. From a custom development perspective, just the use of the middleware products that we're seeing from an integration perspective, then that integrate nicely with with a lot of the back office and front office applications that we're seeing. So what those products are allowing us to do today is take data source A, data source B, and it's automatically recommending data mappings. It's automatically then recommending helping generate code in and of itself in order to be able to make those integrations work. So where in the old days we used to have to write a specific set of code, more and more is getting empowered into advanced business users, or even when code is needed, it's accelerating that process for those integrations by automatically recognizing that for us, and then be able to implement those much more rapid time frame.
Thank you very much, John. John, there's another question. This one's for you as well. Asking for guidance around the best unique identifier to tie contacts across different contact methods. For example, whether it be an account number or a customer ID or maybe some other unique identifier. Do you have any thoughts or ideas on the best way to tie those contacts together across different contact methods?
Sure. No, it's a very good question as well. There's a right way and there are a ways to go about that. Right way of going about that when you're dealing with multiple different sources is to establish a customer data master, right? And oftentimes organizations will navigate, even with the proper integration or enterprise service bus, they'll oftentimes try to be able to build those point-to-point integrations between several different applications, which is complicating what you're just describing. Multiple different data sources, having multiple different IDs around it. The right way of going about that is to establishing a customer data master that we can then broker the linkages between all the right customer information across the different applications that we're dealing with. So we'd insert then that CDM or customer data master within an organizational enterprise that helps broker then what customers are within what particular applications that you'd have. And what that allows us to be able to do is take account ID here, account contact ID over in application B, organization ID in application C, all called different things. Append that into a customer data master, giving us that unique identifier to go about that. Customer data management allows us to be able to do that in a much more effective way to be able to support that for our clients. That's the right way of going about it. organizations that look to not invest in a customer data management solution, then we're creating that concept, though, within the integration framework that we're bringing to the customer itself. And what that allows us to be able to do then is to sort of satisfy that same objective, that we're doing it in a set of services that we'd end up building for that customer, and then assuring then that those that library of connections then are being then put within each of those set applications, A, B, and C, so we can connect those forward.
Thank you very much, John. Very informative, and appreciate your insight on the questions from our webinar attendees. I think that's all that we have time for right now as far as the number of questions, and I want to thank everyone for joining us today for our customer experience webinar. And of course, I'd like to thank our presenters, John Kariotis and Andy Sutherland, John Kariotis of AmberLeaf and Andy Sutherland of bpm'online. Just a reminder that this webinar has been recorded and we will make it available to you as soon as it is ready, so stay tuned for that. And if there are any further questions that come about, please don't hesitate to contact us after today's webinar. We'd love to connect with you. So thank you very much for joining today's webinar, and we're looking forward to seeing you or connecting with you in the future during our next webinar. So stay tuned for additional announcements for upcoming webinars as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.